Okay, so let me tell you about two guys. On one hand, you've got a janitor, a gas station attendant. On the other, a high-flying Merrill Lynch exec with a Harvard MBA. I mean, you can't get much more different than that, right?
So take a guess. Who do you think died with more money? Based on everything we're supposed to know about success, the answer seems obvious, but it's not. And the real answer tells us something super important about money, something that has almost nothing to do with how smart you are.
And that's what this is all about. We're diving into the psychology of money. The core idea is simple but powerful. When it comes to your finances, how you behave is way more important than what you know. It's your biggest and honestly your most overlooked advantage.
Okay, so let's get back to our janitor and our executive. Their stories are, well, they're real, but they sound like something out of a fable. And they just completely blow up everything we think we know about getting rich.
All right, first up, Ronald Reed. This guy's life was about as simple as it gets. He was a janitor, a gas station attendant, lived his whole life in the same little house he bought for, get this, 12 grand. But here's the thing. Underneath that super quiet exterior, he was doing something remarkable. He was just quietly saving every single dollar he could and putting it into good, solid blue chip stocks. And then he just let it sit for decades.
So when he passed away at 92, this humble janitor left behind $8 million. Can you imagine? His town was absolutely floored, and he didn't leave it to some long-lost relative. He gave pretty much all of it to his local hospital and library. He became this amazing secret philanthropist.
Okay, now for the other side of the coin. Richard Fiscone. This guy had it all. Harvard MBA, big shot exec at Merrill Lynch. Everyone thought he was a financial genius. And boy, did he look the part. He borrowed a ton of money to live in this massive 18,000 square foot mansion. We're talking 11 bathrooms, 2 swimming pools, the whole 9 yards.
But then 2008 happened. The financial crisis hit, and that lifestyle built on debt just completely imploded. All that borrowing that paid for the fancy house, it became a wrecking ball. He went bankrupt, lost it all.
So you see the difference here? This incredible story points to a huge mistake most of us make. We think being rich and being wealthy are the same thing, but they're not. Not even close.
Okay, so being rich, that's all about your current income. It's the stuff you can see. The fancy car, the big house, the designer clothes. It's money being spent right now to show people you have it.
Wealth, on the other hand, is completely different. Wealth is the money you don't see. It's the money you haven't spent. It's the assets in your brokerage account, the stocks, the bonds, the stuff that's working for you in the background, compounding away quietly. Wealth is hidden.
And this whole idea is perfectly captured in something called the man in the car paradox. And trust me, it's a little mental trick our brains play on us all the time.
Just think about it for a second. You see someone drive by in, like, a Ferrari. Do you think, wow, that driver must be so financially secure and have a diversified portfolio? No, of course not. You think, man, if I had that car, everyone would think I'm so cool. See what's happening? We admire the car, the object, and use it as a stand-in for our own desires. We barely even notice the person driving it.
And that's the danger, right? This constant need to look rich becomes a trap. It's this never-ending feeling of more. The goalpost for what enough is just keeps shifting. And this happens even to people who, by any rational measure, have already won.
I mean, look at a guy like Rajat Gupta. He was the CEO of McKinsey. He was already worth $100 million. $100 million. And yet, he threw it all away, his reputation, his freedom, by committing insider trading. Why? He wanted to be a billionaire. It wasn't enough.
Or what about Bernie Madoff? You know, before the whole infamous Ponzi scheme thing, he had a perfectly legitimate, wildly successful business. It was making him something like $50 million a year. A year! But that wasn't enough for him either.
It just makes you ask, why? Why would you risk what you have and need for something you don't have and absolutely don't need? It's that poison of social comparison, that hunger for more that just can't be filled. So this really proves a point. Getting money is one thing. Keeping it is a whole different ballgame. So if chasing the rich lifestyle is a trap, how do you build and, more importantly, keep real wealth? Well, it all comes down to one word: survival.
Yeah, staying wealthy is a totally different mindset. It's not about big risks, it's about being unbreakable. You got to be able to stick around long enough for the magic of compounding to do its thing. You also have to accept that your plan, well, it's probably not going to go according to plan. You need a plan for when the plan fails. And finally, you need this weird mix of being a long-term optimist, but a short-term paranoid.
And look, there's a really good reason to be optimistic in the long run. Just look at the U.S. economy over the last century and a half. I mean, the overall trend is undeniably up and to the right. The wind is at your back if you can just stay in the game.
But, and this is a huge but, that long-term optimism is totally useless if you don't have the short-term paranoia to survive the bumps along the way. I mean, that beautiful upward chart was filled with brutal wars, recessions, assassinations, market crashes, pandemics, you name it. It was constant chaos. You have to be able to survive the tough times to get the rewards. Survival really is everything.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. You take the story of Ronald Reed, the janitor, and Richard Fusconi, the executive. You mix in the psychology of never enough and the absolute necessity of survival, and what do you get? You get one crystal clear takeaway.
And it's this. Financial success is not a hard science. It's a soft skill. It's more about how you behave than what you know. A janitor who is patient can, and did, end up wealthier than a Harvard-educated exec who is greedy. At the end of the day, your behavior is your biggest edge.
So real wealth, it has nothing to do with what people see. It's not about showing off. It's built on things you can't see, like patience, humility, and maybe most important of all, knowing how much is enough for you, and having the wisdom to stop moving the goalposts once you get there.
Hey, if this explainer resonated with you and you want to dive into more big ideas like this one, do us a huge favor and subscribe to the Wisdom Lab. It really helps us grow the community and keep these conversations going. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.